A lot of people are waking up to the idea that owning a firearm for self-defense makes a lot of sense. But budget restrictions might come into play when it comes to actually acquiring a gun. And if I was to buy one gun right now, if I could only afford one and could only own one, what would it be? Well, a lot of people might say, hey, you can't go wrong with a Mossberg 500, 12-gauge shotgun. Does a lot of good stuff, right? But I don't think that's necessarily the right answer. And a lot of other people might have you believe that something like a Glock 45 or a Glock 19 is a great way to go. Lots of parts available, less expensive but very durable, and all those things are true. But I'm not going to necessarily agree with that. And then there's also the P320, which is very, let's just say, controversial, but also very good in the logistics game thanks to recent military adoption. But none of these are the right answer. And in this video, we're going to talk about why the P365 XL is actually the one gun I would buy if I could only afford and own one right now. Hey everybody, it's Magic Prepper, and we're talking about why if I could only afford to buy one gun, and it's the only gun I could own, it would be a Sig Sauer P365 XL, specifically that model. And we're going to talk about why throughout this video, and understand that a lot of this is new because of the fact that the recent release of the P365X macro has changed the equation quite a bit, at least in my opinion. And if you're worried about surviving an SHTF scenario, but you can only afford one gun, then hit the subscribe button below because these are the things we're going to talk about here on this channel. Now, before you get upset, I just want to mention that I don't think a rifle is actually the gun everybody should get if they could only get one right now. First off, they generally become more expensive in the sense of accoutrements and everything else related to what you need for a rifle to be what you want during those types of scenarios, optics, accessories, and everything else. And at the same time, they're not as practical for concealability, which will be a big factor in any early crisis scenario. Not to mention how many more people can carry a pistol just during normal times, how many people can easily train at indoor ranges with pistols. They're just more user-friendly overall. So I do think that if you could only get one gun, a handgun is still the right answer. Now, why would the P365 XL be my choice if I could only get one gun? Here's the reasons why. Let's go ahead and talk about it. And first, let's go ahead and unload this because this is my concealed carry, and I just want to make sure, we're being relatively safe, but I like to keep my guns loaded when I can. So, first off, it's a 9mm micro compact pistol, which basically means you get a decent amount of ammunition, 9mm, which is plenty capable, in a smaller package, okay? So, micro compact. Now, has a 6.6-inch overall length, has a 4.8-inch height, and the big seller of the P365 series is that it's 1.1 inches wide, which is extremely impressive because it's very thin, very slim, which makes it very easy to conceal when you're carrying it. Not to mention some of the larger grip options actually make it feel more like a 1911 or another single stack style pistol. So I do like that quite a bit about it, all right? Now the P365 XL model, the standard model, not the Spectre Comp or anything like that, but the standard has a 3.7-inch barrel. And that's why I think that that's the right model to get. And the reason is because that 3.7-inch barrel and that slide will fit on all the other P365 grip module assemblies, but it gives you the longest barrel that you can get, especially if you were to add a threaded barrel, in this package, which gives you the best benefits of velocity you can expect from a gun this size. So a Glock 19 has like a 4-inch barrel basically, right? And this is a 3.7, so you're only 0.3 inches difference from something most people consider a duty quality pistol, right? Now, it weighs 20.7 ounces in its stripped down configuration, but this setup with a red dot, with a light, with a fully loaded magazine and one in the chamber came in at 26.5 ounces. So not heavy at all and extremely comfortable to carry, which is one of the reasons why I carry it so often. It's just so lightweight. It comes with night sights already installed, and that's a huge benefit that it has over things like your typical Glock 19. Glocks don't come with night sights generally, so that's an additional expense you have to incur, and the ones that the SIG P365 comes with are actually very good. They're also optics ready. So a Glock 19 MOS costs more money in order to have optics mounting capabilities, yet the 365 XL allows you to mount an optic right to it, right from the factory. Now I will say that requires you to ditch the rear sights that it comes with, so if you do get an optic, you want something like this HoloSun 407K, which then has a notch in the very back that works as a makeshift rear iron sight in case the batteries fail or in case the optic goes down. So you still have that redundancy, which you would want on a pistol, right? This particular model, the 365XL, has a 12-round flush fit magazine. And flush fit is nice for concealed carry, but the fact that you can fit 12 plus 1 in this gun in this small of a package means 13 rounds of 9mm, which can solve a lot of problems in most scenarios. But they also have a 15-round extension magazine that was made specifically to work with the P365XL, but that'll work in the standard, and the new X Macro magazines, which hold 17 rounds, will also work in this setup. So you can get a lot of different capacity options if you want. Now, don't get the Spectre comp or anything like that. And the reason I'm saying that is because I don't have anything against comps or anything. But what I will say is that I think having the 3.7-inch barrel and getting a little more velocity and a little bit more capability out of this firearm is worth what it brings to the table over the more pleasant shootability of having a comp. Honestly, I can shoot this gun in all the different configurations out to 100 yards and still hit the target without a compensator. Can't beat a red dot, you just can't. Okay, flush fit P365XL at 100 yards. So with the flush fit 12-round magazine, see how we do it? There we go. P365X macro at 100 yards. Let's give it a shot. That's a hit. First try. Oh, you want to see more? You don't believe me? Not bad for 100 yards with a subcompact 9mm. I can shoot it quickly and still hit the target well without a compensator. I don't think it's something that most people who are especially only buying the one gun they can afford and only have one gun are gonna notice the difference, because until you get to a certain level of shooting, a comp really doesn't make a big difference for you besides you having that better split time and whatever else it is you're searching for, okay? And you can buy P365s with a manual safety. Now, a manual safety is something you might prefer just because it makes you more comfortable or whatever it is, but this one does not have it, and you do not necessarily need it. And like I said before, this doesn't have a lot of the same issues surrounding it in the sense of what people are concerned about with the P320. So the P365 seems to have, at least according to the internet, possibly a better track record when it comes to safety. I'm just gonna say that as a caveat. Don't quote me on that in case somebody does something stupid tomorrow and has an ND that they eventually call an AD. Anyway, here's the best part about the P365XL, and this is kind of what I want to talk about in this video. It's so versatile because the fire control unit in here is actually the gun, which means you can change different grips onto this gun to get it to be exactly what you want it to be, which is something you can't do with a Glock 19, which is something you can't necessarily do with most other guns on the market, and you definitely can't do it with a lot of long arms, right? So what this does is it allows you to change this one gun you bought, the one you could afford, into 3 different guns if you want to. And I think that's extremely valuable. So what am I talking about? Well, with a standard P365, you would have a 3.1-inch barrel and 10-round flush fit magazines, as well as 12-round extension magazines. Plenty good for deep concealment, excellent for pocket carry, still very lightweight, very capable, and with the XL, you can put the longer slide on the shorter grip module and it still works the same way, and you can still pocket carry it and still have a much better deep concealment option. And having 10+1 is still really good capacity. Having the additional 12-round magazine is nice as well. It gives you a little bit more to hang on to with your finger, but you can still throw the 15 or the 17-round mags right into it also. So you have all these different options. Now, What about the X Macro, which is what changed the game when it came to this particular pistol? Well, the X Macro has a 17-round flush fit magazine, has a full-size grip that allows you to really get your hand and get a good purchase on the gun itself. And the best part about the X Macro is that you basically have a duty-capable firearm on your side by using that grip module and installing it on your P365XL. So you just went from the smallest you can get in the sense of a pocket carry gun up to a duty quality 17-round flush fit pistol, which would rival a Glock 17 at that point, or a P320X carry for the same amount of capacity, but still maintain a slimmer profile and a lighter weight without sacrificing anything else, because you can still put a red dot on it, you can still put a light on it and do all the things. Not to mention there's many holster manufacturers out there that make inside the waistband holsters for the macro, as well as outside, that even have QLS fork adapters, so you can go ahead and QD it right onto your belt or your chest rig or whatever you do. So X Macro, suddenly you have a duty quality gun. P365 standard grip module, suddenly you have a deep concealment pocket carry gun. And with the good old P365XL, you get the Goldilocks middle of the road, which is great for concealed carry. And it's honestly why I carry it so much, because I can still get a full grip on this gun, but not necessarily as good as I'd like with the X Macro. However, still better than the standard, and it still allows me to hide it very well and carry it comfortably while taking it to the range and still getting some good time in without the grip becoming an issue for me over that extended period of firing. So at the end of the day, okay, which I say a lot, and that's fine. Look, the longer barrel is more velocity, and that's why you want the 365XL. The X Macro comes with a 3.1-inch barrel with a comp on the end. So you're sacrificing velocity and capability of that round, which then makes it not as capable of being a duty pistol as it was in this configuration with a 3.7-inch barrel, okay? Honestly though, the fact that you can get the night sights and the light and you can get the optic and everything else on it gives you all the accessories you would want access to. And the logistics for the P365 is another huge selling point, because over the last few years, the P365 itself has been one of the top selling handguns, if not the top selling handgun in the United States for years, which means that magazines are available, we have slides and options and everything else available in that market. So when you buy a P365, no matter what configuration, you can get just about anything you want for it. And that's going to be huge for somebody who can only afford one gun. So a Glock 19, for example, can't have a smaller frame, which means you're stuck with whatever that frame is. And although that's one of the top things you'll hear people suggest when it's like, hey, I can only get one gun, what should I get? Glock 19 is never a bad answer. I'm not trying to say that. But what I'm trying to tell you is that the P365XL, especially when you equate the fact that you can put it in a standard grip module or an X Macro grip module, outpaces the Glock 19. It'll fit more people's hands than a Glock 19 will, and it becomes much smaller and much more concealable, which for a lot of new shooters, especially women or people with smaller statures, would appreciate, because that Glock 19 is blocky and it's thick and it's still not as easy to conceal as people want you to think. Whereas a P365XL or even the standard configuration, much easier to conceal. And then the X Macro actually has more capacity than a Glock 19. Flush fit, 17 rounds versus 15. Let's talk about price. A P365XL right now, you can pick them up for about $600, which is a little more expensive, but when you consider the fact that they come with night sights and their optics ready, it's not too bad, because a Glock 19 Gen 5 will run you about $580. But if you want an MOS that can do optics, it's going to cost you $680. And it's still not going to come with night sights. So the 365XL is actually a very good value as well. And that's why all those reasons we just talked about, it's the one gun I would buy if I could only afford and have one gun right now. Which sounds crazy, I know. But now that I've got to shoot it with the X Macro grip, with the standard grip, with the XL grip, and now that I've had a lot of time carrying this gun for over 3.5 years now, I'm not gonna lie to you, it's been an excellent firearm. I haven't had any problems with it at all. And when I say carry this gun, I mean this fire control group that has been in many different modules with many different slides and many different setups, because that's something you can do with this gun that you cannot do with a Glock 19 and a million other guns that are out there. And that's why this one wins at that game and that debate, and I wouldn't have any problems at all having an X Macro compatible 365 on my hip during an SHTF scenario, because honestly, 17 rounds competes with everything else, shoots really nice, and it's actually lighter. So that's my reasoning. Let me know in the comments below what you think. Argue with me. Tell me what you think's a better option or a better idea. And if you haven't tried an X macro, make sure you do before you go bashing this, because honestly, now that I've got to shoot it, it's a game changer. And it really has changed the entire dynamic as to what you should get when it comes to concealed carry, as well as outside of the waistband use in a pistol. And without anything else to say about it, that's gonna be it for Magic Prepper.